Readers Entertainment Radio presents Booklights with your host, author Lisa Kessler. Booklights, where we're shining a light on good books.
Welcome everyone to Booklights, and it's still with Lisa Kessler, except I'm Sheila English, and I'm going to be the host, and I am going to interview Lisa.
Yay!
So welcome, Lisa. Yay!
Thank you. It's weird to be in the other chair.
Right? So I'm going to apologize to everyone because my voice is a little crackly this morning. I have a cold, but I'm just happy to be able to be here and interview Lisa. I'm really excited about this because this is something new and different. So I know everybody knows Lisa's a wonderful host, but you might not know she's a best-selling author of dark paranormal fiction. And I've read her books, and they're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And you write different stuff. And I'm sure everybody has their favorites, but your series with the pirates.
The Immortal Pirates in Savannah.
Oh, Immortal Pirates. And they're sexy.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, those are my personal favorites. But now I did see we're actually going to talk about your practical tarot deck and book. And I already know you do tarot because I've seen your TikToks and your social media when you do your readings.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tune into that. It's just, to me, it's fascinating. I did see the deck, and I know I shared it with Christine Fian, who also has some tarot decks, but she just fell in love with yours.
Oh, thank you.
We were looking at it and looking at the book. The illustrations are great. What was really wonderful, we had this conversation about how easy it was to follow the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're brand new to it, the book really helps you. But if you've been doing it now, I've been reading for a while. It was still really nice, to have another tarot reader's perception, and I really enjoyed it. So I think that whether you're new or whether you have a lot of experience, these are fun cards. The book makes it so easy, and you've been a tarot reader for over 20 years. What sparked your curiosity and passion for tarot?
I've always loved everything paranormal from the time I was a little kid. And when I became a mom, like 33 years ago, I really fell in love with the idea of tarot. But I bought the Rider-Waite deck because everyone tells you that's the starter deck, the original, whatever. But if you have ever bought a Rider-Waite deck, you probably already know this. It is full of pictures of angry men. And I could not for the life of me connect with those cards. I couldn't. And then I tried memorizing 78 cards, and it never worked. So I thought I was broken, and I just started collecting decks because the artwork is so pretty. But I finally connected with one. My first one that I really made a good connection with was the Mystic Dreamer Tarot. And I fell in love with the images. It had a lot more female images on there. They were a little fantastical. And I felt like I finally started to see the cycles and the patterns and the symbolism. And suddenly it just all clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm reading tarot. And then as I got more into it and I could read from more decks, I started reading professionally for other people. And I realized, so often they teach tarot like it's this, boring textbook science. And I have many of those books. And I mean, if you're a brand new beginner, you open it and you're like, what? It's like a foreign language you've never read before. And you're going, and I wanted the practical tarot method that I teach is all about cycles and symbols so that you don't have to memorize. And when I teach tarot for writers too. And a couple of years ago, I finished my tarot for writers class, and this group of writers said, you should make your own deck. And I thought, there's none of that because, I'm not an artist. I can't draw stick people. But the idea started to percolate. And then I told my poor husband, I think I'm going to write a tarot book. And he's like, okay. But I had so much fun basically taking my course and putting it into a book. And my hope is that for other people who, like me, had this huge, deep interest and love in tarot and then quickly thought I was broken. I hope that for other people who pick up the book and the deck will discover that we all have intuition, and tarot is just a tool to tap into it. And so if you can connect with a deck and the cycles and the symbols, you don't need the book. You don't need to memorize anything. You can trust your inner wisdom when you pull that hermit card and you go, dang it, universe, I have to meditate more. But you'll get that ping right away. And for me, that's what I wish I had 30 years ago when I went, I'm going to read tarot. I wish I had had that, because I collected decks for probably another 7 years, feeling like I'm not smart enough to read tarot. I just like the pictures. And I don't want anyone to feel like that, because it's supposed to be a tool. And if the deck isn't connecting with you, it's not because you're broken. It's just not the deck for you. And I didn't know that. No one was talking about that. So I just thought it was me.
I had the same experience with the Rider-Waite. It seemed overwhelming, and I did not connect with that deck. And I thought, okay, like I just, it's just not for me. But once I found a deck that I actually connected with, it just kind of blossoms.
Right?
So,
it just opens up, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to the universe. I get it.
How has tarot impacted those you've worked with, or how's it impacted your own intuitive work?
It has been monumental. Part of the practical tarot method, the reason I called it the practical tarot deck is because I have discovered that I enjoy using tarot for everything. I use it, obviously, I talked about tarot for writers. I use it all the time when I write, and I teach other writers to use it as a creative tool to tap into your creative intuition. But I've also learned to use it to help me meditate and to help me have a focus for the day and make better choices and all that. And in my clients, I do a lot of manifesting coaching, and I have watched people manifest homes and babies and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of it has to do with just being able to shut down the noise and pick a card and go, oh, there's my focus. Okay, I can do this, and being able to have that confidence, because a lot of times from the time when we're little, our intuition's really strong, and people tell us, oh, it's your imagination. And so as adults, when we get this big hit that I should do this, the first thing we do is talk ourselves out of it. We're like, well, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. Like I did when people said, you should make your own deck. And I'm like, whoa, but I think if you start using tarot as a tool instead of like something, for when your friends get together and we all do readings for each other, if you start using it as a tool for your intuition, you start using it more and you get a better connection. And I think what I see in my clients is confidence. You see believing in yourself, and you also start to get this feeling of that we're part of something bigger, which is, I think, what I was hunting for with tarot all along when I was younger. We want to feel connected to something bigger, that we're not just a rabbit in the forest and something's going to eat us, and we're here for a reason. And that to me is the biggest gift of tarot, is when you start using it more and you realize, oh my gosh, I keep pulling the Hermit in 2 different decks. Fine, I'll meditate. And then you stop pulling that card and you're like, okay, there's something to this. And that, having that feeling, that connection, is a really nice gift. And it doesn't matter, a lot of times I have new people who come to me and they're like, but I'm religious. Well, tarot doesn't have a dogma. There's no religion attached to it. It's just a tool. They are pictures printed on cardboard for you to tap into your own intuition. So you don't have to change your religion or your dogma or any of that. Tarot is just a tool for you to get in better touch with it, whatever you think the it is,
So what are some of the topics that are covered in the practical tarot method?
Oh, good question. So I do talk about traditional meanings of the cards, but when we start the book, I wanted it to be a conversation instead of a textbook. So it's very conversational, and the publisher really nailed I wanted them, because when I talked to the graphic designer at the publisher, she was fantastic, but she wanted to know, what do I want the feel of the book to be? And I told her, I want it to be a conversation, and I want it to be something where you want to turn the page. You're not overwhelmed every page with text, with whatever. And she came up with the idea to make it an oversized, like, art book. So that is what it is. And she took so much pieces of artwork off of the different cards and sprinkled them throughout the book. So you really do want to turn the page, because you don't know what's going to be on there. It's not going to be a bunch more scary text where you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to know tarot. It's just this welcoming conversation. And inside you'll find symbolism for animals, plants, colors to look for on your cards. I try to give you as many tools that you can have in your toolbox so that you don't have to memorize. So, I also give the cycles for the minor arcana and the major arcana. And in the book also, for each card, besides the traditional meaning, I also have a meditating or journal question to ask. If you keep pulling this card, meditate on this or journal about this. And I also have manifesting tips. If you are trying to manifest something into your life and you keep drawing this card, maybe give this a whirl. And I also have for the major arcana, we have all of the astrological connections for each card also. So I tried to sprinkle in things so that you have lots of entry points to figure out how you connect with tarot, because it's different for everyone. So for me, there's all of those things in the book. And then, like I said, at the end, I give you all kinds of practical uses, and there's little exercises to try it. You can write a haiku with your tarot cards, and that is in the book. That was my editor's favorite exercise. She said, we've all been writing haikus with their tarot cards, which I love. So you will find at the end of the book all kinds of practical uses that you can use your tarot cards for, just so that you get in the habit of reaching for that tool.
You were talking about how it can be different for everyone, and that's not just different for the person that you're reading for. It's different. It could be different for the reader too, because we're all different.
Yes.
We all connect with the universe in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I was starting out, I thought, oh, I do have to memorize this, because somebody else who does it, they're going to know that I'm a fraud. That's how I felt.
Yes.
But then I connected with this deck, and you realize you're not a fraud. You're just different with the universe than the next person.
Mm-hmm.
And it did give me confidence, and that's why I like the way that the book flows. like you were saying, it's more of a conversation than, oh, you better know what this card
Yes.
means, or
Yeah.
everybody's going to look at you. And it's, it wasn't like that. And it does inspire a lot of confidence. And I really love that. Now, what would be like the number one piece of advice you'd offer someone just now starting to explore the art of tarot?
My number one thing for somebody who's brand new is just pull a card every day, make a little tarot journal. For me, it helped if I pulled a card every day and wrote down what I thought that card was going to mean for me that day. And then at the end of the day, and I'm not talking about writing like a book, just like 2 sentences, I'll pull out, let's say you drew the devil card and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, I need to give up what no longer serves me. So today I'm going to focus on how I feel, everything that I'm doing today, because if something makes me feel not so good, maybe I'm going to start limiting my contact with that, if that's possible. And then at the end of the day, I would go back and go, what did I give up that no longer served me? Oh my gosh, I realized that da, 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 da. And because when you do that, it, like you said, it builds your confidence, because there is a lot of imposter syndrome with tarot. People feel like, oh, but if I don't have that traditional meaning. But I am a huge believer in, I've seen it so many times. You always get the card you need, always. And your spirit guides and angels are helping you pull exactly the card you need. And for you, that card might mean something different than what the book says. Like maybe for you, that king of pentacles looks just like your dad. And when you draw it, you don't think of the traditional meaning. You think, I need to call my dad. And that is the exact message that you were supposed to get. That's why you drew that card. So don't let the books talk you out of what your own personal connection is. I feel very strongly about that. And I have some clients who pull the same card often, and we have begun to associate that with, that's the universe giving them a wink. Hello, how are you? So the traditional meaning doesn't mean that when they pull that card. So you can develop a relationship with your deck where you're like, oh hi, I see you. And that is valid, because you always get the card you need, and your guides and angels know what all your symbols are. And when you pick up that card, if the first thing you hone in on is a turtle and that reminds you to call your son, then that was the message. So
we talked a little bit about the traditional Rider-Waite and how you don't connect, but then you find other cards and you do connect. Now, tell me, why is the Practical Tarot deck so unique and different from other decks out there?
It is the deck I always wanted, that I always wished that I had, because I do a lot of tarot readings. When COVID hit, I used to do readings in metaphysical shops. And when COVID hit and everything shut down, I had to learn to use Zoom. And I'm like, okay. And now it actually was a blessing in disguise, because now I read for people all over the world. I have clients in the UK and Australia and all these other places where I never would have in San Diego, they wouldn't have walked through the door. So I met all kinds of really interesting people. And one thing that started becoming more and more apparent to me is that a lot of tarot decks leave people out. And I like to be able to read for people and at least have 1 or 2 cards where they're like, hey, that's me. And it's nothing against the other decks. I have so many decks that I love, but a lot of them are either very white, or everyone's super fit, or everyone is 19, or, and it's just like, I just wanted to have one deck where in all 78 cards, you can find yourself. There's at least one. We have a person with scoliosis in a wheelchair. We have a person with a cochlear implant. We have Tiglio is on the cards. We have young people, old people, people who are bigger and smaller. And, we try to be as inclusive as possible for race, for everything, because my dream as a reader for other people is that you could spread out the deck and go, oh my gosh, there's me. Oh my gosh, there's my best friend. Oh my gosh, there's, because tarot should be for everyone. And I think a lot of times, especially like you think of the Rider-Waite deck, not only is it angry men, but they're all angry white men, and our world is so much more diverse. And tarot, it doesn't have a dogma. It doesn't have a place. It's just a tool. So for me, I just wanted a tool that would speak to everyone, not leave anyone out. And so to me, the biggest thing that separates Practical Tarot from everything else is that it is very diverse and inclusive. And we tried to get everyone on the cards.
I love that you thought about trying to, so that everybody can connect in some way or see themselves or someone they know. And I think that helps to inspire your intuition as well.
Yeah,
to see,
for sure.
So kind of tell me a little bit about, you get a new deck. Okay, let's say I get the Practical Tarot deck. How do I, like, when you unpackage it, do you have to have a certain way you do that? Do you do something to make it yours? What are those steps?
I love that you asked that. So in the Practical Tarot method in the book, I do talk about your deck, and it is very human to want a recipe. I do step 1, 2, 3, and then ta-da, it's done. But the reality is that everything is just energy, and you don't have to do every single step in a certain order with a certain crystal, or your deck will hate you. If you feel I always tell people your free will is the magic. So if you feel like when you open up that deck and shuffle it the first time, all your energy is going into those cards, it's yours. That's fine. If you feel like you need a more ritualistic thing, you might sage your cards. You might put a crystal, your favorite crystal, like rose quartz, especially, is, self-love, and put that crystal on top of your deck for a night. Maybe you feel like if I put it in the windowsill during the full moon, then all of the other jujus are off. That's awesome. And all of those are valid. So whatever you feel inclined to, trust your intuition, always trust your intuition, and do what you feel is right. I tend to be very simple because I can play games with myself where I'm like, I don't know, did I do the thing? Did I do the other thing? Was it with my right hand? So I keep everything very simple. So when I get a tarot deck, I shuffle it, I put my hands on it, and I say, this deck is mine. For me, that's enough. And that, and that deck is mine. And so that's all. But you can be as complicated and to make it yours, or it can be as simple as you open the box and go, well, this is mine. Done.
Like having a relationship with the cards that you're gonna speak to the universe through.
Right.
I love that. I do, and I felt that too. You know when you've connected. And whether that's you slept with it under your pillow, or you just picked them up and they spoke to you.
Yeah, exactly. It really is your free will. So whatever you feels right to you is the right answer.
So what are some tips for beginners? Just talk about people who they're just now thinking, well, this sounds like maybe something that I could try out. What would the tips be for those people?
Well, my tip would be that, like, when I teach Practical Tarot, we separate out the deck. So the major arcana is in a stack, and then we do the minor arcana, all 4 elements: water, air, fire, earth, and we go through one card at a time. and talk about each one and look for symbols that speak to us so that we'll remember every time we see that card, this one is about balance and choices and, and all that. And if you're a beginner, for me anyway, that worked really well. And look for, in the book, it talks about looking for the cycles. When it goes from ace to 10, the cycles mirror each other. So it makes it a little bit easier to go, okay, this is ace through 10 of my emotions, and this is ace through 10 of my actions. And this is, so if you get the book, it'll walk you through it. But if you just pick up a tarot deck and you're brand new, that is a-okay. I just think it's easier if you separate them out so that you can look at how they relate to each other and find ways that you connect with each card, so that when you pull out that card, you're like, oh, I have to make a choice between projects, without having to run and get the guidebook and go, well, this guidebook says I have to do, you're making your own personal connection with each card.
Yeah. So how do you use tarot as a tool for your personal development?
Oh, well, I'm a big believer in that you should be meditating, but I'm also a horrible meditator. And for those of you out there who are like me, who you hear the word and you're like, oh my God, I can't. I have good news for you. Just short meditations, like 5 or 10 minutes, make a world of difference. And I am not a believer in that you have to quiet your mind and go, because for me, that just doesn't work. That makes my brain start going, how much longer? It's got to be almost done now. Maybe I should look. I don't know. I should be doing, what is my dog doing? But I find that if I pull a tarot card with the intention, we haven't talked about intention, but that's really important. Have an intention before you pull. That is just your question. Otherwise, you get answers and you're like, okay, I don't, because you don't know what the question was. So have an intention. And so if I'm going to meditate, my intention as I spread out my cards is, what should I meditate on? And I pull a card, and whatever that card is, that's my focus of my meditation. So like if I pulled the Empress and she is pregnant with ideas that need to be manifested into the world, then I know that for my 10 minutes, I'm just going to focus on, what do I want to manifest into my world right now? And when you have that focus, that 10 minutes goes shoo, right by. You can put on, meditation music that's just 10 minutes long, and you can feel like, I did it. But you will notice that everything in your life increases if you can just get 10 minutes of focused thought, where you're just present, where you're not worried about what's coming next week, and you're not beating yourself up about what happened yesterday. Just 10 minutes of being right here, right now. And a tarot card can really help you, get that focus. So for me, that is a very good use of that for personal development anyway.
What about for work? You're a creative person, you're a writer. How would you use tarot to help you, like with your writing or your job?
Well, when I teach tarot for writers, we go through the whole deck, one card at a time, talking about all of the ways that you can get an idea, spark an idea off one card. And I am not a plotter, but I have had plenty of plotters take my class because they use it for outlining. And I get so many cool emails of books that just came out of tarot. One romance writer told me, I can't believe it, but I wrote an entire book on the minor arcana cycle of cups, which is your emotions and love. And she said every plot point was a card all the way to the 10, which is the happy ever after. And that was so cool because I had never even thought of doing that. And I write with my tarot cards every day. But as a creative, painting, writing, musicians, poets, everything, you can use tarot cards anytime you feel stuck. Because usually what happens when we're stuck as a creative is we're letting everybody else get involved in our connection to the story or the song or the, whatever it is that you're working on. You start thinking about things like, well, will this sell like this? Or will readers like this? Or, this isn't like my last album. And once we start doubting, all of that is gone. Your muse, your connection with the superconscious, whatever, it is gone, because now you're second guessing every single thing. And so using tarot cards, you can spread them out and have the intention of what happens next. I constantly do that when I'm writing. What happens next? And I pull a card and then I go, oh my gosh, because for a split second, it takes your ego out of the equation and it just gives you a pure idea. And it goes back to that you always get the card you need. It is always the right idea for the book. And I'm not saying that every time you pull a card, it's instant. But sometimes, even for me, I'll pull a card and go, what? But I never stick the card back in and go, well, that was wrong. Because over the years I've figured out, okay, this is gonna make sense. And one that pops to mind is I was writing one of those immortal pirate books, and I had the pirates have been in Savannah since the 1700s when the city was just forming, and he was walking with this mermaid who's on land. They're very paranormal. But he's walking her through Forsyth Park. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. It's boring to me. It will be boring to everyone else. What am I doing? And again, once you start that self-doubt, it's over. And so I was like, okay, I need some help. So I spread out the cards. What happens next? And I pulled it and I got the justice card. And justice card typically is someone else is making a decision that's going to affect you, but it will be for your highest good. People call it the karma card. And I'm looking at that going, they are walking in the park. This is not very helpful. And I'm looking at it. And so I set it aside and I wrote another sentence. And then I was like, oh, he's immortal. He's been there since before Forsyth Park. Who founded Forsyth Park? And I went on Wikipedia and it was a judge who gave the stuff. And I was like, that was the meaning of the card. He knew the judge. So then I had this cool story that he could share as an immortal, and it was wonderful, and it made everything flow again. So you always get the card, even if it doesn't make sense right at that moment. It will. So as a creative, tarot cards are a huge help, and you can use them when you're plotting and outlining for plot points. You can use them as a pantser like me, where you're just like, what's going to happen today? What happens next? And you get better and better and faster the more that you use it. And so as a creative, it's an excellent tool to have in your toolkit for any time you start doubting or you lose your muse or, you wrote yourself into a corner. Tarot cards can always help you pull yourself back out.
Love it. So where can people find the deck and the book, and where can they find you?
Well, the deck and the book are available everywhere today. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Indie. Oh, shoot. Dang it. I can't think of the name.
IndieBound.
Thank you. IndieBound. Thank you for saving me. But anyway, it's available everywhere where you get books. And the deck is, of course, the 78 cards, and the Practical Tarot Method is the book we've been talking about that will help you to, develop your own connection with the cards as opposed to memorizing 78. And they can get it everywhere today. And they can find me at authorlisakessler.com or metaphysicalmanifesting.com. And there are links to get the books there as well.
Now, are there links so that people can go and listen to you do a reading? Because I know you do that, but once a week.
Yes, I do. On YouTube and TikTok, you can find me at LDY Disney on both places. And I do a weekly reading. It's free every week, forever. And it's funny. A lot of people, if they watch this week's video, they will see over on the side that YouTube pops up another reading and says, this one might be good for you. And I have had people who send me notes who are like, I watched this old reading from 2 years ago and it was exactly what I needed. Is that valid? Is that real? And yes, it is. So since everything is energy, your spirit guides and angels can manipulate an algorithm piece of cake. And so if there's a message in one of those old readings that they know you need to hear, it's easy for them to pop that up there. So if you watch an old reading on accident and you're like, oh my God, this is from 2 years ago, but it was exactly what I needed, that was the reading you were supposed to hear. It happens all the time. So just tell your guides and angels, thank you, heard.
Well, thank you so much for tolerating the voice that I'm losing.
Well, thank you for being here. I hope you feel better, poor thing.
Thank you. And thank you to our listeners. Been talking to Lisa Kessler, who is just multifaceted Renaissance woman. You do so much, and you're an amazing writer. And thank you so much for being with us on Book Lights.
And thank you for guest hosting for me, Sheila. It's always fun to see you.
Thanks for joining us on Book Lights. Be sure to connect with us at www.readersentertainment.com for articles, blogs, videos, and podcasts that matter to readers.